Continuing on with day 2 of 2.4, I'll now do a problem that has a product rule in it. I know it's product rule because I have two x's being multiplied together. So the derivative of g of x, g prime of x, and I'm going to simply say first times the derivative of the second. The derivative of tangent is secant squared. Write what is after it. Since what is after it is not just an x, I have to remember to take the derivative of that part, which would be 1/2, plus the second times the derivative of the first. And the derivative of secant is secant tangent. And since what's inside those parentheses is not just an x, I have to remember to take the derivative of that 1/2 x, which is 1/2. I'll have to write that down below here because I've ran out of space. So times 1/2. Really, what I want to do is I want to clean this up just a little bit. And I can do that by rewriting this as g prime of x equals this first section right here. It really has a 1/2 that I can pull out in front. I have a secant and a secant squared, so that becomes secant cubed, 1/2 x, plus I now have a 1/2 I'll pull out front, and I have two tangents, so tangent times tangent is tangent squared, 1/2 x, and then I have secant 1/2 x. That's as far as I will take this problem. Moving on, the next problem, we're going to find the derivative. The way this is written, I need to rewrite it before I begin. This really says that I have 5 cosine pi t squared. Whenever that squared is right there with the cosine, that's different than having the cosine of t squared. That would be where the t is just squared. In this case, the whole cosine pi t is being squared. This is the chain rule. The chain rule says, bring this out front. I call this chain rule, people call this general power rule as well. So 2 times 5 is 10. Rewrite what's on the inside. Lower it by 1. And then I'll take the derivative of what's inside. The derivative of what's inside of these parentheses would be negative sine pi t. Now, we have to be really careful with this because this isn't just a t or an x. It's got something attached to it, so you have to remember to take the derivative of that part, even though there's not parentheses around it. That's the tricky thing about the trig functions. So we're going to multiply by pi. Again, I'm going to clean this up, and I can do that by multiplying the 10 and the pi and the negative 1 together. So that gives me a negative 10 pi. And then I have the sine of pi t times the cosine of pi t.